Welcome to Ask Cadence, everybody, the project management podcast. My name is Pete Wright, and I'm here with the globe-trotting John Patton. John.
Pete, nice to see you.
It seems like months since we have had this, these conversations.
Maybe it's close to months. It seems like only a month ago you and I were talking, and then I set out on a trip that took me around the world.
You sure did. Now, one of your major stops was the PMI Global Congress, EMEA.
Yeah, in Dublin, Ireland. Yes.
And you posted, you sent us a dispatch, it seems like by note in a bottle. We posted to the website your initial thoughts as you were leaving. I think they were written on a plane.
Yes.
And now that you've had a chance to digest, we're going to do our recap.
Well, I'd just like to do something on my impressions. On this one, I focused on anything I could on program management. I think it is very much a developing and changing domain within these three disciplines of project management: portfolio, program, and project management.
Well, I have to ask. I mean, you say you focused on finding everything on program management. Do you get the feeling that was the focus of a main focus of Congress? Is the industry focused there, or was this just?
Well, it was certainly one of them for the Congress. There were many other topics covered, and some of the people that I would normally see, say, on risk management, had already covered risk at the program level 1 or 2 years ago, but. I just have an ongoing interest in program management as the answer to complexity when straight project management is reaching its limits due to the complexity of the application.
Right.
And with that context of dealing with complexity, I wanted to attend as many sessions as I could on program management. And I came away very satisfied. I had seen some of the speakers before, knew that they did good work, and were really interested in gathering their perspective.
Sure. Now, how did these speakers generally fare? I know you wanted to walk through a couple of the key presentations.
Well, they were highly attended, and in some cases there was fairly spirited give and take during their presentation or at the end. One of the signs of a changing aspect of the profession is that you have multiple sorts of perspectives in there. And so the discussions from people were very interesting, and that is a wonderful complement to the presentation.
Absolutely. It seems like when there is that much discussion, the domain has not yet reached foundational. It's unsettled, and that's when it's most fun to be a part of the conversation.
It's fascinating to watch things changing.
Right.
So I want to talk about 3 or 4 of the presentations, Pete, and not recap the presentations, but sort of mention 1 or 2 insights from each that I came away with.
Perfect.
So thank you, Pete. The first one is business change management within programs, and the speaker was Omar Zain out of the UK. I have attended his presentations on program management before, always well prepared. And this one, just one of the things, you talk about things over time, and then all of a sudden it crystallizes in something a person says. And here, one of the things on program management, just shorter, tighter definition. It's an administrative vehicle for bringing about complex change. So the change itself is brought about by the projects within the program. But you've got to have a program management team, which is an administrative unit, which is doing benefits, identification, tracking, realization, launching projects to continue bringing about change until the benefits are realized. And these words, an administrative vehicle for bringing about change, is the key thing. And I added this complexity in there because I've always viewed programs as a structure for managing complex change.
Right.
And then there's a newer sort of perspective from Michelle Thierry, who says, and uncertainty. When there's a high degree of uncertainty, he's doing investigation and consulting on when there's a highly uncertain environment, using program management through a series of successive decision making during the project to deal with complex change or uncertainty. Now, the other aspect of Omar Saeed's presentation was if we have this role in a program of business change managers or transition managers, when we're transitioning the change into the operating organization, he emphasized very, very strongly that the business change manager come from the operational unit which will receive the change. So there may be many departments who will be changing as a result of this program. The change managers, who are members of the program team, or let's say the directing team, executive team. There can be multiples of those. That is very, very good, and they need to come from the organization that they're going to be facilitating change for.
Right.
I just thought that was...
It seems only polite when you actually think about it,
These things is funny about advancement of knowledge. They seem obvious after the fact.
Oh, sure they do.
And when you hear them, well, of course, well, then why didn't I think of that?
Why wouldn't you do that? Well, I don't know. Why didn't we do that?
Well, we need to take advantage of people who've had a lot of experience.
Sure.
And specialists like Omar in business change. That's one of the reasons why I go to these congresses. And I really recommend it to our listeners. Get on that PMI.org website. Look for the upcoming one that may be near you. This fall, there will be a North American Global Congress in Dallas, Texas. I recommend people go to that if they possibly can. Get their company to sponsor it. And by George, if you're a professional and your company will not sponsor you, think about taking some vacation time. I know this is horrendous, but taking some vacation time and spending your own money.
It's that important.
Well, you're a professional, and make sure you get professional value out of it. Well, the second one was very much leading edge. We've talked about earned value as managing the cost side, and to a certain extent the schedule progress side of projects. Kik Piney, who's long been a leader and had great perspective, very carefully developed a formula for earned benefits management. So just like there is earned value for project management, if you've got earned value working on the projects inside your program, there is a formula that you can now use to track the advancement of benefits on the program. And it isn't just adding up all of the earned value of all of the projects. It's more than that.
I think I need a visual. Now, when I read this initially in your very first sort of high level recap, I just imagined this sort of yin and yang relationship, that if earned value is working, that this is sort of the corollary on the program side. I mean, is that how these two concepts relate together, or am I off?
Yes. Well, value is tracked on programs by the arrival of benefits.
Okay.
And what percentage of each benefit has arrived, and what percentage of total benefits have arrived. Now, for readers who have mathematical background, think of a differential equation in two parts that helps us arrive at the earned benefits so far in the program.
Okay.
Fascinating.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's another one why...
I just love going to these things, because you get some of the top experts in the world, some real thought leaders, and you're hearing it first from them.
Right.
It's just really nice. Then there was, I attended another session on change management, and Brian Richardson was the speaker, and just the main insight on this was when you're addressing change management for the area that you're representing, you have to look at the gaps. And it'll be one of two types of gaps, a motivational gap or a competence gap. And then in his paper, he addressed how to satisfy the motivational gap and how to satisfy the competence gap approaches to take. Another fascinating sort of presentation. And then it was all towards the end of the Congress, Michelle Thierry, a PMI fellow and one of my longtime favorites, made a presentation on what does your future look like. Brilliantly presented, very effectively woven together, and one of the key final themes in his presentation was we've traditionally looked at operations and projects as separate, the two things that take place in organizations, and part of the future is that we will see a blurring of those lines and emerging of them, and the vehicle for managing all of this is program management. Now, to a certain extent, that was true historically, that program management was responsible for part of the operation, and its proper functioning, and that's where we took our measurements from. But this goes beyond that, as program management addressing the overall operational needs, some blurring over that line and existing in the operating environment, and generating projects to improve that environment. It was for me saying that there's no longer a clear line between operations and projects was insightful. And I know that programs have taken that view in the past, but Michelle's approach was fresh, and his points were very strongly made.
It's fascinating. It'll be fascinating to see how the discussion of efficiency in project management, particularly in large complex projects, and the dedication of project resources versus staff really shakes out over the coming years. That's fascinating.
Yeah, very interesting. Now, another thing, Pete, is that we've got to recognize and acknowledge that this world is increasingly complex. The environment is complex, and the projects are getting more complex. Any organism that occupies a niche is going to want to specialize more and more. And as companies specialize more and more, they become more complex, and their changes become more complex because they have this legacy set of whatever they've done over the years that they have to maintain and improve and be competitive in their environment and effective inside their company and efficient. So complexity is increasing. It's here. And in 2008, I spent a year going to the global congresses around the world at PMI and participating in research working sessions to explore this area of complexity. And then was put on an editorial team, 5 of us, pulling all the notes together, which eventually became a book. Our leader was Terry Cook Davies, and it's being published on June 30th. And as we talked here, Pete, we saw that it's available from Amazon.com. And folks will be able to pick it up. The title of the book is Aspects of Complexity, Managing Projects in a Complex World. It has 2 parts. That background, which is the research and theory aspect of complexity, and then a part 2, a practical part, which says, now how do you deal with project complexity in a complex environment? And that latter one was the one where I participated with some brilliant people. I do recommend this book. There's some great insights as we traveled around the world, and I think you're going to find it a good read.
Well, that is it sounds like it's that dose of the global Congress thinking that you can address in a very practical kind of approach to your day-to-day in this book. It looks very promising. I think.
Well, it's our
can't
intent.
Wait to actually
it's our intent, and I hope people are pleased with the result.
Absolutely, and again, you can find it on Amazon.com. It's right. I'm looking at it right now. It even has a clever cover. It looks very sharp. John, congratulations on the book, and thank you so much for your recap here today. These recaps are always great, and you always come back with such great energy from these things.
Well, it's inspiring, Pete.
Yeah.
It's inspiring to be with thought leaders and other people in the same profession, and I really recommend, if you do not belong to PMI, whoever's listening to this, and your local chapter, please join and go and contribute and take value from talking to your peers and asking them the hard questions that you're facing in your work environment. In Portland, Oregon, where I'm from, there's a PMI dinner tonight, and I intend to go.
Fantastic. On behalf of John Patton, thank you all so much for listening and downloading. My name is Pete Wright, and we'll catch up with you again on the next episode of Ask Cadence, the Project Management Podcast.